Welcome back to In Between, Diary of a Film. This is tutorial 15, where I'm going blow by blow through the shoot of my film In Between from 2008 and how it can apply to your own independent feature film. This is me, David Antonelli. And anyway, this is the second part of the shoot. We started in the last episode in Brighton, and then we moved on to London. There's two flats. This is the first flat. It was the location of very important scenes. First, at the beginning in the dark, where Jan first meets Rosalind, a very long 20-minute scene. And also the sniper scene, where Jan actually scales up the staircase and finds a sniper in the apartment. And then after that, there was also the scene where Rosalind and Loenstra meet in a room, and he basically scolds her. And then finally, we went to National Gallery to film there while we were in this apartment. So the first scene was really difficult because it was low light and it was very long. We did it in 2 long takes, 20 minutes per take, and the actors did such an amazing job. They remembered all their lines perfectly, and they said afterwards that it was just like performing in a play where you're on stage instead of the normal thing in a film where you just get a couple lines here, a couple lines there, and it's all edited together. It had that continuity, that flow, and there was a really low light, and we brought our own lighting kit there, and that lighting was just barely enough, so there's a sense of darkness surrounding them. You can just barely see their faces, and it really sets the tone for the film. It's a very difficult scene. I did the cinematography, very long takes like Alfred Hitchcock, and I cut back and forth between them while I was editing, but I kind of wove in and around the two of them as they were speaking. I remember Emma Kelly afterwards was so happy with her performance that she immediately called her mom to say, hey, it all worked out great, because she was feeling very nervous about a 20-minute take. That was spectacular. And then there was a sniper scene where Jan comes from a pub, which is around the corner from the flat. He's walking around, and the sniper starts shooting from a window, and then he goes up, scales up the stairs. He did that so well, and then breaks into the apartment, and she's there. And the actress who was the sniper was this woman who was a Scottish champion for Kung Fu. So she was very fit and good at martial arts. But we had a fight choreographer there that went through the whole fight and everything. And then he eventually, gets her on the ground, and she kills herself rather than speak out, the information that he was looking for. Anyway, an amazing scene. And then after that, we shot the scene where Loenstra meets with Rosalind. And this was also a difficult scene because the actor Michael Chateau, who played Loenstra, is like David Thewlis anyway, he's like David Thewlis, and he dominates scenes, and she was kind of stiff in that scene. She didn't have very many lines. He walked around her, scolded her, and she sits there kind of like a military officer being scolded by her superior. But that's what I wanted. I wanted it to kind of show that while Rosalind was very fearsome, very intimidating, kind of adversary, especially for Jan, that Loenstra was even worse. He was above her, and she did whatever he said, and that she was scared of him because he was kind of a scary person and a very, very good actor. And interestingly, I just heard from him the other day, from Germany. I hadn't heard from him in about 10 years. But anyway, we also shot the scenes in the National Gallery while we were in this apartment, and those were difficult because we could only shoot in the National Gallery before it opened. So we basically had maybe until 8 in the morning or something like that. We had a book for 2 hours, and the first hour, the makeup artist, who I've described before as having kind of a difficult problem with, took 1 hour to get Emma Kelly ready as a Rosalind, just putting on very simple makeup, and I was getting very frustrated, and we got into an argument about how she she thought that the makeup job was the most important thing in the entire film. And I was saying, look, we have 2 hours here and that's it. We have to get this done, you know. And so we ended up with only 1 hour because it took her so long. And then after that, it was kind of difficult because it's a big echo chamber, the National Gallery. And every time we moved or the sound man moved, you could hear it. And we had to actually cut those out. Put in ambient sound in various places during the editing process to get rid of that, or else it just would have been too loud. And those scenes come across as a bit kind of stiff, not as fluid. But then again, if you're in an art gallery and you're basically a criminal and you're meeting your criminal adversary, you're going to be a little bit nervous and a little bit hush-hush. So maybe it was appropriate. And then after that, we shot a scene of them on the steps where we left the gallery, and we were in the entrance of the gallery, by the cafe, and they were by the steps. And those were a little bit more smooth because we weren't around the paintings and we were a little bit more relaxed. But anyway, those are the scenes that we shot while we were at our first London location. And they all went, very, very well, considering the challenges, the long takes of the first scenes, and also the darkness that we had to bring our own lighting kit. The sniper scenes where I had to put in digital bullets, and we had to have a fight choreographer upstairs for the actual, combat scene. And then, the scene with Loinster and Rosalind, where she's a bit stiff and doesn't have very many lines. And as an actress, she's uncomfortable with that. So I had to reassure that she was doing the right thing. And then finally, the National Gallery, very challenging because you've got all these guards around you and it's a big echo chamber and you only have a couple hours to shoot. But it worked because we were organized. So anyway, thank you for listening. And in the next episode, we're going to go on to our second London location. But if you like Inbetween, it's a novel and a film. The novel came out after the film. You can buy this as an ebook or a paperback on Amazon or anywhere else. And I have a new novel, The Orphean, which is more modernist, like Franz Kafka or Peter Handke, who won the Nobel Prize in 2019. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I hope to see you again.